Howdy, folks, and welcome to a very special edition of DEADPIT on streaming on fucking Patreon and whatever else we got.
On something.
It's gonna be on something, so just watch it, in whatever format you'd like. So we're going to we're going to try something completely different, something that's never been done in the history of anything, YouTube or anything else. I don't believe.
We're gonna make you click.
That's right. That's right. That's what we're doing.
Interesting idea for a video we're gonna do here is horror alumni, horror celebrities who have really killed someone, committed a murderous act.
Whether it be accidental, purposeful, semi-accidental, I mean, any kind of murder.
It was actually very difficult for us to find 5. There were a couple that popped into my head almost immediately because one of those is she's originally from Eastern Kentucky.
That's right.
She was an Eastern Kentucky girl, made good until she went a little bit bad, and we'll talk about that. But there's 5. We got 5, baby.
Keep in mind, some of this is alleged because at least one in particular I know of is alleged, but also probably true. So, I mean, there's no, as far as I know, recorded evidence that this person killed anybody, but when you hear the story, you'll pretty much know what I mean.
Yeah. But most of these are legit. I mean, they've actually been found guilty and went to court and all this bullshit.
They went on duty justice and they've been adjudicated in a court of law.
The first one we'll get into because it's pretty much one of the more obvious ones that you had brought up with me that people talk about and reference from time to time because, you know, this movie has become infamous. It's a good movie. I enjoy the movie, but it's become pretty much infamous due to the star of the movie being killed on set. And we're talking about Brandon Lee on The Crow. But the man that killed him, and unfortunately it was definitely an accident. I couldn't imagine being in that position. Something like that happened. Actually, something like that happened recently with Alec Baldwin as well. 1994, Michael Massee, who starred in, he's like a bit actor, character actor. He starred in other comic movies such as The Amazing Spider-Man, Catwoman, and The Avengers, playing the role of Fun Boy in The Crow. He shot 44 Smith & Wesson Model 629 revolver from approximately 12 to 15 feet away. And the whole story behind how this happened is, I think they go into it in detail on one of the E! True Hollywood story where it was like a projectile piece of the blank that was stuck in the barrel for, they may have shot it 30 or 40 times or whatever. But that one shot and that projectile, boom, and, you know, he was killed by just pretty much instantly, I think.
Yeah, it's one of those, like you said, like a freak kind of accident. But what makes it even more kind of interesting, or I don't know how you want to say it, is like the legend of the curse that was around his father at the time, who also died really, really young under like mysterious kind of odd circumstances. And, you know, this kind of, at that time when this happened, served to kind of make that even more of a big story. I remember when this happened. I mean, you know, we would have been, 13 or 14 years old, something like that.
Right.
And, you know, even back then, like Dragon was already out. I'm pretty sure, like the Bruce Lee story. And in that movie, you know, there's this whole subplot about him being cursed, and you know, at the end of it, all these ancient Chinese whatever coming back to get his soul and all this. So it just added to the mythology, I guess, of the Lee family.
They actually go into detail on exactly what happened on here too. The prop crew made their own dummy cartridges, removing the gunpowder, but unbeknownst to themselves, leaving the primer still inside the cartridge. During the filming, the revolver was then discharged with an improperly deactivated cartridge in the chamber of the gun. Sadly, this meant that the primer was set off with enough force to drive the bullet into the barrel, which becomes stuck, known as a squib load. Uncle Bill, that doesn't sound right.
No, it doesn't.
But tragically, the prop crew either failed to notice or perhaps didn't recognize the significance of that issue.
Yeah. So you basically got like a little piece, of a bullet jammed inside the barrel, and then you fire off a blank, and the force of that causes the projectile to come out of the barrel, and it's basically just like shooting a real gun at that point.
Yeah, so that everyone knows about that case, though.
From what I understand, though, that guy really never got over that. Like some of the stuff that I was reading about, like it took him, I don't know how, like 20 years to even talk about it, really, and like he never really recovered from that whole situation.
Honestly, I think he was more of a victim than anything else. And there'll be some more of those in this list. I'll say that. I don't think there's too many that was, on purpose.
The one I want to talk about, and it's perfect segue, because I'm right in the middle of, my weekly Weekend at Freakin's stream. One of Freakin's most popular, his most popular movie by far, The Exorcist, actually contains a scene, and a lot of people know about this, with a guy who plays the radiology tech in the scene where Reagan goes in and she's having all those weird tests done. They're trying to figure out if there's something physically wrong with her, so they're doing this, I forget what it's called, like an angiogram or something like that. It was just a horrible test scene. The guy who wheels her in, and it's kind of like, he doesn't speak, I don't think, and he's uncredited in the movie really, but he wheels her in and he's like helping with the doctor and all that. Turns out this guy's an actor, or he wasn't. He was a real radiology tech, I think, but and he was just acting in this movie. His name was Paul Bateson, and turns out that he was actually responsible for a series of murders that happened around that period of time. I think it was the late 70s, which, by the way, also inspired the movie Cruising. Because his murders were, they all involved the death of gay men in and around Manhattan. And I think he was called, like his moniker was something, it was like the Bag Murders or something like that, or
it's something that rhymes with bag and then Bag Murders, I think. I think that was what it was called. I'm not going to say that because,
He was convicted in 1979 of the murder of a journalist by the name of Addison Varell and sentenced to 20 years in prison. So he's out, by the way.
I did hear that nobody knew where he was at, though. Isn't that weird?
That's crazy. And he's still alive, too, by the way. He's 81 years old now. He got out in 2003, and so God knows what in the hell he's been doing, but he apparently would go and hook up with different gay men, and then he would murder them, and then he would chop them up and put them in different rivers.
He would chop them up into itty bitty little pieces, my friend.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 6 men who were murdered in the 70s that were unidentified, their murders remain unsolved. So he was never charged with those, but he was believed to have been the guy that did it.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that Freakin went and interviewed him for when he did Cruising, and I don't know if he necessarily confessed, but he gave him enough information to where it was like he knew that he had been the one that had pulled those off.
The next one up is probably one of the more tragic ones because it was a kid that was killed. and it essentially ended this woman's career as an actress. I've not seen her in anything. This happened in 2001, and Rebecca Gayheart, who is the woman that is actually from Eastern Kentucky, star of the Urban Legend movies, the first two, run over, hit a 9-year-old boy, um, and I think it was a traffic, like it was one of those deals where the little boy run out to get his basketball or soccer ball or something like that. The car in front of Rebecca made a sudden stop, and of course, I don't want to be mean, but you know for a fact that Rebecca Gayhart's probably not the smartest person.
No, by
Instead
no
of
means.
just running into the back of the car, which if anybody that's ever went to, that remembers or driving, driver's exams and shit, which is what you always do. No, she actually swerved and went around the car to avoid hitting it and hit the little boy, 9-year-old Jorge Cruz Jr., as he like I said, run after a soccer ball on the road. And, Gayheart right now, she's 47 years old at this point. I figured she would have been older than that, but she suffered some post-traumatic stress, I could imagine, and
Yeah.
nightmares after the incident. And it's something I don't think she's really ever talked about. But she was sentenced to probation, 1 year suspension of her license, $2,800 fine, 750 hours of community service, and pled no contest to vehicular manslaughter, November of 2001, and
I
settled wrongful death lawsuit by the child's parents at court, Patriots Funeral and Medical.
I don't know if you remember this, but there was like a period of time there too where a bunch of videos got out of her like high. I think it was on meth or crack or something like that, where it was her and like some other people, maybe like her boyfriend or something too, just like completely blown out of their minds, you know.
Well, she is from Eastern Kentucky, so
Yeah. So, I mean, she was bad off there for a long time after that, is the point that I'm getting to. And I think, you know, it just destroyed her career and basically, like, the drug use and everything just completely helped destroy it. So, I mean, she was in Jawbreaker. She was in Urban Legend, like you said. She was the Noxzema girl. She was in a lot of stuff. And she had a really promising career. And that and drug use fucked all that up.
yeah,
So
very sad case. Just it was a little kid that got killed. I mean, I think that would definitely fuck anybody up
yeah, I
for
don't
sure.
think that you come back from that completely. But the one that I've got, and this one's the one that's a little bit of a, I don't know, it's a little controversial, but bear with me here, okay? So my pick is Christopher Lee
Oh,
because a lot of people don't realize this, but Christopher Lee was in the Royal Air Force. He was in Special Operations Unit, and it's rumored now. You know, who knows how much of this stuff is true or not? But it's rumored that part of his job was to like hunt down suspected like Nazi war criminals when he worked for the British intelligence. And, you know, throughout his special operations career, it's rumored that he was part of some sabotage, some espionage, and some just general badassery, a la the likes of like James Bond. Now, the reason why I think it's pretty safe to say that he knows his way around killing somebody is because there's a famous story where in Return of the King, like his character's getting ready to be, I think his character's get stabbed in the back,
mhm.
and he turned to Peter Jackson and said, "Do you really know like what it sounds like when somebody gets stabbed in the back? Because I do." He was like, and so he talked with him a long time about his, you know, military kind of career, and basically Peter Jackson was like, "Okay, yeah, this guy legitimately knows what he's doing." So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Christopher Lee's one of those guys too, and we don't talk about him a whole lot on the show, but Like there's some people that have just, and I know he's since passed away. He passed away what, probably 5 or 6 years ago or whatever it was. Um, it seemed like he was just there forever. He was around forever. So he fought in World War II,
Two,
wasn't
yeah.
it? World War II, like
Yeah.
yeah. And he was acting in mainstream movies up until near, he was 90. I don't know how old he was, almost 100 years old, I think, when he died. Did those Lord of the Rings movies and did a fucking fantastic job in those movies too.
Yeah, he did.
There's not too many actors at all that has a career in film that spanned that long at that high of a level. But at the time he was an elderly man, he was still doing mainstream shit.
I mean, to give you an idea, like he actually went to he actually used to drink with J.R. Tolkien. He went out and partied with J.R. Tolkien. If that
Yeah.
gives you any idea of like how long his career is.
Yeah. Absolute legend and a killing machine, evidently. The rumor has.
Rumor has it,
Christopher Lee.
allegedly. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that usually people that, veterans and everything else, they do not want to really talk about, and I could imagine so. That's not
Yeah.
anything you want to brag about or anything, but if he was in World War II and special forces in World War II, he has fucking killed some people. I can guarantee you.
That's the thing. He never really talked about it in any great detail. So you just kind of have these side stories from people that So you don't really know.
The last one I had is one that not a lot of people really know about and haven't really mentioned. And it's kind of a stretch, but she was in horror movie. She was in one of the worst horror movies of all time. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, which I think Curly Jaws is a big fan of that. At one time, a very famous singer and model as well, Brandy Norwood, who was 27 years old when this happened in 2007. She's the same age as we are.
Yep.
Was driving a Land Rover, and the collision, and she had struck someone in a 2005 Honda at about 65 miles an hour on the highway, killed a 38-year-old woman. I can't pronounce this fucking woman's name. She's obviously from Zimbabwe or somewhere like that. The lady that got killed. The Honda was driven by her. She was 38 years old, hit another vehicle, and then slid sideways before it struck a center divider, the report said, and her car was hit by an oncoming car
Ah.
driven by 50-year-old Mallory Ham. The woman was taken to the hospital where she died of blunt force injuries, and Brandy was not injured. She wasn't under any influence of drugs or alcohol at the time. And, she's another one that I don't know if she's ever really commented on that incident
Like I remember
where she
just
killed somebody. Murder is technically okay.
that's not murder. No, that's
No,
like manslaughter. I
yeah,
guess something like that. Like maybe not even manslaughter. Maybe like
vehicular homicide, maybe.
But see, she wasn't drunk. She wasn't high. She didn't mean to do it. It was actually a total
It
accident. So
was
I'm not
a
even
car
sure.
accident, but she did kill someone.
Right. It's not murder technically, but I don't know what you would call it. Point being is, all these people killed someone
That's very
allegedly.
true. Very
Yeah.
true. Female driving's what Dirk said.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, maybe went on a little bit longer than what we were thinking, but let us know, guys. I think that's 5. Is that 5?
That's 5.
Okay. Did you guys know about all 5 of these? Brandy Norwood, star of I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Rebecca Gayheart, the star of the urban legend movies. The legendary Christopher Lee.
Paul Bateson from The Exorcist, and
Yeah, Michael Massee from The Crow. I'm sure you knew about that one. But give some feedback. Let us know what you think. And we'll catch you guys on the next show here at DEADPIT.
.com.
Give us the thumbs up.
Up your butt.
like, subscribe. And if you subscribe, here's something else you can do. Once you subscribe, you can click the bell notification, right? And it'll notify you anytime that Dead Pit puts up new shit.
Or don't. I really don't give a if you do or
I
don't.
want you to. I want you to.
I don't care.
Let's keep our community growing here on YouTube.
I don't like it. I don't want you to touch nothing.
Listen, they need to do that, pal.
No, don't you dare touch it.
Thumbs up. Subscribe. And click that bell.
For this video officially, it's Oh Curly Jaws has a message for you. Go on over to shop.deadpit.com and go look at their Teen Public store right now. You got some new shirts like the Oh Curly Jaws official t-shirt, which is brutal and badass. You got the Yummy Gummy shirt with the captain himself on the shirt. You got Uncle Bill's face on a fucking shirt. You got the Final Girl shirt. You got all these shirts over at shop.deadpit.com. Get them before they're all out, especially the new one, Bedtime 1039. It doesn't get better than that, so go on out. Check out these shirts at shop.deadpit.com. Go look at their Teen Public store. You're going to have a good old time. Get them all!
Thank you to all of our supporters on Patreon. Dead Pit on Patreon.com is the only place to check out a complete archive of the old Dead Pit radio shows all the way back from 2005 on, in addition to the midweek shows and fan commentaries, exclusive podcasts, and much more. Dead Pit on Patreon.com if you're interested. Tiers start at only $1.